Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm perfect. I appreciated that comment. I mean, especially coming from you, because obviously, when I started, you were in the game for a long time. But I think what I've learned the most, and one of the bigger misconceptions about, what we do, is that it's just about going out and partying.
Right.
It's just about going out and having fun or drinking, or all you do is drink. I mean, that is the facade. That is the front side of it.
Yeah.
That is a big part of it. That is how we communicate our brands a lot of the time. But, a lot of people wouldn't know that, over the 5 years that I was in high school and in freshman year in college, I was interning in a beverage marketing program in New York City.
Oh,
right.
Nice.
So what I was working on directly were, Cadbury Schweppes accounts, Coors Anheuser-Busch accounts, Pepsi, Procter & Gamble. So these are things that I understood at a young age that I needed to implement later on. How do I get the things that these big businesses are looking for?
Right.
Right. And, fast forward to the supplier role, understanding how these marketing programs generate dollars and what's valuable to who and how.
Right.
And now taking my experience of nightlife and the operations and the VIP side and the sales side and the consumer trends, taking that and marrying it to the marketing programs.
Right.
And understanding, how do I actually affect change in a place that's, got so many different hands in the pot, from the VIP host to the cocktail waitress to the bartender to the promoter messing up the night.
Right.
This guy was supposed to give us these drink tickets, and now these drink tickets don't get dispersed, and now you're losing on that. And then the suppliers are saying, oh, well, I got 500 drink tickets that went out tonight. There are those things that, you got to know the ins and outs on both sides. You can't just take everyone's word for it, and that was something, was knowing like what's important to who and how to motivate each group.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And to get inside of each person's head and understand, like, okay, if I need this from the cocktail waitresses and I need this from the bartenders and I need these from the operations guys and this from the marketing guys, how do I communicate to them? And most of the time, it's getting to know them, understanding their story. Mm-hmm. Who are you?
Right.
How can I know you better? How can I work with you better? Right. What can I do for you that makes your job easier?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's listening. You got to listen to people.
Right.
And, if you're not listening and taking notes and being observant at all times, you're missing the point. I'm always trying to learn from people around me. I'm always trying to, pick up on little things, because those are the details that, you have to look for in the bigger picture.
And, again, it's so amazing in a way that if you think about it, right, like as I'm listening to you say that, no different than, again, like you listening to that, one customer that wanted that experience, because my sort of segue was, how does someone that doesn't have that nightlife background, as strong as you do, how does he, know their roles and, learns how to work with them? I mean, you hit it right on the head, right? Like, I mean, by listening, by getting to know these guys. I think on the biggest misconception, the party thing, I think it's, it's good and bad, because I remember I was chatting with an artist, and we're at some sort of like, VIP party or whatever it was. And anytime that somebody would come up and ask for a picture with this, friend of mine, he would, take his chain out, put his sunglasses on, and do the pose. And I remember just calling him out, and I was like, hey, like, that's your thing. And he was like, like, you got to sell the life, man. Like, these guys, they see you a certain way. You gotta sell it to them. You gotta give them what they're looking for. So when I thought of myself as a professional, I also thought, like, I mean, in a way, I mean, we want, people to know that we're having fun with what we're doing. We're, enjoying our product responsibly, and we're, preaching the gospel, right? But we also have so many other things that we have to do. So how do you balance those things, with enjoying yourself, really loving what you do, and just, being passionate about what you do without jeopardizing the responsibilities that the job entails as well? So, I think that I love the fact that people think it's fun, or I mean, it's not that it's not. I love that people are like, oh my god, I wish I could do that, la la la. But I also want to educate them on everything else that our job entails, because I mean that's so true every time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard like, oh, I wish I could do like, and I've heard it from doctors to anyone else. Like somebody just recently was like, well, I wish I could do that for a living, and I was like, dude, like you own like 30 businesses. Like what are you talking about? So yeah. So would you say one of the biggest misconceptions then on both sides though? I mean, I almost feel like even Nightlife Professionals, I mean, you guys, I feel like a lot of people think that all you guys do is party too, and they don't see the admin, the work, the follow up that you guys have to go through. I feel like they're very similar in a sense, right?
I mean, the time that you see us in the club is 10%. That's 10% of the work that's put in, I would say, because it takes the whole other 90% to get that person there, to find that person, first of all, whether it's through, you taking care of a girl from 10 years ago, from, your buddy that you were friends with in college or something like that, or, a customer referral, or maybe a concierge that you had delivered donuts to 1 year ago. Who knows? Maybe they found your business card in a pile of business cards, and who knows, man? It's all about reaping what you sow. And, the big misconception, and I want to bring up something you said earlier, was like that skipping that grind. Mm-hmm. You got to have that hard work button that you push every time, and if you don't have that hard work button, it's not going to work. Right. Like you have to be able to put in that work to get to that next level, and you never know where your next table is going to come from. Right. That was a big part of what we learned, is that there was no table tree that you could just go outside and pluck a tree down, and it doesn't just happen. Right. But to go back to what you were saying, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. It's the hardest part of remaining professional is knowing who is who, right? Like when you're in these circumstances, if you don't know how to act in one circumstance or another, or who is who, is a big part, right? Like the guy wearing the sweats and the sneakers could be the millionaire, and the guy in the suit could be his assistant, right? You have to remain professional at all times, and you can't treat one guy better than another. You can't, there are those things that you learn working in nightlife and in a casino that you never know. Right? You never know where your next table is going to come from. You never know who's going to give you business. You never know who's important. So you have to remain professional and open at all times. Yeah. So as a nightlife professional, what I learned was be respectful, look people in the eyes, shake their hands, always take notes. Because, that person might be the boss one day. Right. That person might walk in with the $10,000 customer, that changes your life. Yeah.
Well, as professionals tend to grow as well, right? Like whether that one person that came for that convention was level B executive, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we all grow. That's what we want to do. So now, what do you think were the biggest learnings, right? Like, what were the things that you learned the most from nightlife that helped you tremendously in the supplier role? And the reason why I ask is I get a lot of professionals that think that they're not qualified to be a supplier, that don't realize that, again, whether it's cold calling by passing out flyers to, building a schedule, curating some sort of experience for somebody else, like you don't necessarily know that that's what you're doing, basically curating a program, right, from beginning to end. So what are the things, if there's a young junior host out there that is listening, like what do you think were the biggest, key learnings from nightlife that you've now used as a supplier?
Measurables, like you said, KPIs. Yeah. If you know your sales from year over year, if you know how many contacts you're hitting up, if just keep track, you should really keep track, because there's so much information that we're processing and just go all the time that, if you're just putting phone numbers in your phone and not following up with people and getting to know them and actually going back and touching base on that conversation that you guys might have had at the bar or in the front of the nightclub, because a lot of times people are genuine, you know, and they're so excited to meet you in nightlife.
Yeah, of course.
They think you're, you know, gonna, you know, make the sky open for them or something. I don't know, but there's so many times where people have offered me either jobs or just, you know, come stay at my house or come check out this place that I own, or if you ever want to come have a free dinner. And it's just from working at a nightclub or being nice to someone in the right moment. And, you know, if you don't follow up with these people and actually get to know these stories, you're missing out. I mean, I can't say I followed up with every single business card that I've gotten, right? But I've done my best to try and hold myself to that level, you know, of integrity. Because if you follow up with people, that's, you know, 80% right there, because half the time people never follow up. And then,
no, not at all.
So what do? You know, you just make a list. Hey, I'm going to follow up with these 10 people and, you know, make sure that I give them my support over the holidays, or, you know, reach out to them on their birthday, or, you know, if he had a conversation with me about his kids graduating this year, wish him luck, or something like that. Or, hey, you know, I shared my experience about going to Arizona State with a guy once, and he told me his son had just, you know, went there as a freshman. And I was like, well, you know, tell him he's got to go to Manzi. That's the best, you know, dorm room to stay at. And there's where he'll become a man. And, you know, the next time I saw him, he was like, yeah, he's staying in Manzi. Now he's playing on the basketball team, blah, blah, blah. Like, he made friends there. And so that was a connection that me and that guy had.
Yeah.
He wasn't even my customer.
Wow.
You know, he was someone else's customer that I would see. But it was always a genuine connection every time 100%. I saw that guy. You know, and now anytime I see him, he's just open arms, you know. And just that moment right there when you can make a seat at the table for someone else, you know, I love doing that. It's just like they see you, you see them, and then from there on out, you have that one lasting, you know, impression on each other.
100%.
You know?
So practicality or being practical, right? Would you say? I mean, obviously taking notes, right? When you meet someone, when somebody shares that one special moment that's coming up, I mean, make sure to add that on your notes. Is there anything that you practice like on a daily basis, or, you know, weekly, or whatever it is, like putting time aside, you know, going back to time management, right? Like putting X time aside in order to send those emails out, because, you know, I mean, in this business, we're being handed business cards every day, right? So how, being practical again for that young junior host, like, was there a schedule that you sort of followed, like, you know, on your downtime, you know, like how'd you do that?
More of a muscle, you know. It's got to be a reflex. When you get someone's business card, or you get their information, or you get their contact, or if you meet them, you know, send it right away. Why not? Why not just say, hey, here's my information, boom, follow up. You know, make a to-do list, you know, every day.
Yeah, 100%.
That's something that anyone can do on any device with any app with no time. But for me, if I got a business card or if I got someone's contact information, I would try and reach out to them right away. But if it was someone that was super important, I would take the time to like thoughtfully write out something like, hey, it was really nice meeting you. This is what I had in mind, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, there's a balance. You know, you have to know when and where to take your time and maximize your time. It might be sitting at Subway, it might be at the car wash.
True, yeah.
You know, it might be
just make time, I guess, right?
Make time.
Because we could either scroll down on our social media or take that 2 minutes to send that email. So again, what do you think are some of the bigger strengths? You know, I think you touch on one, like make sure that you don't skip that grind, right? Make sure that you do the cold, like you know, pass out those flyers. Make sure that you just hit that, you know, hard work.
If it makes you uncomfortable, you should probably be doing
right.
it. You know,
that's true.
It should be something that you do more of if it makes you uncomfortable.
I like that.
You know, I always tell people you got